There is an island in the United States that does not appear on most tourist maps. You cannot book a hotel there. You cannot buy a ticket to visit. And if you somehow showed up on its shores uninvited, you would be removed. Quietly. This place has hosted presidents, tech billionaires, and some of the most powerful families in the world for over a century. And almost nobody talks about it. The island is called Jekyll Island. And the story of what happened there, what still happens there, will change how you see money, power, and privacy in America forever. Most people scrolling through travel content right now are dreaming about Santorini or Bali. But the truly wealthy have never competed for Instagram backdrops. They have always moved differently. And Jekyll Island is proof of exactly how differently. Located off the coast of Georgia, Jekyll Island sits in the Atlantic, separated from the mainland by a stretch of marshland and water. It is technically a state park today, open to visitors. But that is not the version of this story most people know. Because between 1886 and 1947, this island was the most exclusive private retreat in the entire world. The Jekyll Island Club. A place so secretive that at its peak, its members collectively controlled 1/6 of the world's entire wealth. Let that number sit for a second. 1/6 of the world's wealth. Concentrated inside a single club, on a single island. The founding members were not just rich. They were names that still echo through modern finance and industry. J.P. Morgan, William Rockefeller, William Vanderbilt. These were not celebrities. These were the people who built the architecture of American capitalism itself. And they chose this island specifically because it was difficult to reach. That was the point. Distance was the first layer of security. The second layer was silence. Members were forbidden from bringing journalists. Media was not allowed. Even speaking about what happened on the island to outsiders was deeply discouraged. When they gathered here, they gathered completely off the record. And this is where the story shifts from interesting to genuinely unsettling. In November 1910, a group of men arrived at Jekyll Island under false names. They were told to use first names only with each other during the trip. No last names. The group included Senator Nelson Aldrich, who was the father-in-law of John D. Rockefeller Jr., and several top executives from the most powerful banks in America. They spent 9 days together in total secrecy. And what they drafted during those 9 days became the blueprint for the Federal Reserve System, the central banking structure that controls American monetary policy to this day. The Federal Reserve was designed on a private island, by men using fake names, far away from any journalist, senator, or ordinary citizen. Whether you think that was necessary or sinister depends on who you ask. But it happened. And for decades, the men involved flatly denied the meeting ever took place. It was only confirmed publicly years later, buried in memoirs and financial histories that most people never read. Now here is what makes this relevant to your life right now. You do not need to be obsessed with conspiracy theories to find this fascinating. What Jekyll Island actually reveals is a pattern that still exists today. The people shaping the systems that govern your salary, your mortgage rate, your cost of living, they do not meet in public conference rooms. They meet in places most people cannot reach. Always have. Probably always will. That is not an argument for paranoia. It is an argument for paying attention. After the Jekyll Island Club dissolved in the 1940s, the state of Georgia eventually purchased the island and opened parts of it to the public. Today, you can visit the restored clubhouse, walk the same rooms where Vanderbilts and Rockefellers stayed, sleep in cottages that once housed the most powerful families in America. The irony is striking. A place designed to keep ordinary people out is now a state park, a museum of exclusivity, open for $15 a day. But the more interesting question is not about Jekyll Island specifically. It is about what replaced it. Because the ultra-wealthy did not stop needing private islands. They simply found new ones. Necker Island in the British Virgin Islands is owned entirely by Richard Branson. You can rent the whole island for somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000 a night. Little St. James, the island once owned by Jeffrey Epstein, sat almost completely invisible to the public for years, despite its proximity to major shipping routes. North Sentinel Island in the Indian Ocean is technically one of the most isolated places on Earth, though for entirely different reasons. And then there are the truly private ones. Islands owned by tech billionaires and sovereign wealth funds that are not listed anywhere, not photographed, not discussed. The pattern has not changed. The address has. Here is what strikes most people when they actually visit Jekyll Island today. It is quiet in a way that modern life almost never is. The beaches are wide and undeveloped. There are no massive resort chains, no neon signs, no cruise ship docks. The Georgia state government restricts development to protect its character. And standing on that beach, looking out at the same water the Rockefellers looked out at, you understand something about why powerful people have always sought these kinds of places. It is not just about secrecy. It is about stillness, about having space to think, plan, and exist without the noise. The ultra-wealthy have always understood that clarity is expensive, and they have always been willing to pay for it. That is the thing most travel content misses entirely. People watch videos about luxury hotels and private jets and assume wealth is about spectacle. But the places where real power has historically concentrated, Jekyll Island, private clubs, gated mountain retreats, they are almost aggressively understated. Old money, as the saying goes, whispers. New money shouts. Jekyll Island whispered for 60 years, and in those whispers it helped shape the modern financial world. You can visit it this weekend if you wanted to. Drive across the causeway, pay the parking fee, walk through the club's restored dining room. The chandelier is still there. The fireplaces. The dark wood paneling that absorbed a century of conversations nobody was supposed to hear. And maybe that is the most subversive thing about the whole story. The island that was built on exclusion is now one of the most democratic places in Georgia. History has a way of doing that. Pulling back the curtain eventually, even on the places that tried hardest to stay hidden. The question worth sitting with is simple. What curtains are still closed right now, and what will it take before someone finally pulls them back?